This episode of Auto Dealer Live is brought to you by TrueCar.
What's up, my friend?
How you doing? You're back.
I'm back.
Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you, man.
You too, man.
I was going to do the show from Israel, but there's like a 7-hour difference. Can you imagine? Like,
You're just not committed. Just say it.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah. Hey, but you know, it'd been cool if we would have done the show like that, and then like one of those delays, and you'd be like, "So, Dave, what do you think?"
7-hour delay.
And like 5-10 seconds later, be like, "Well, Dave."
Oh, gotcha.
I don't know if that really works or not. I've always wanted to try that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, that would be cool.
I guess it. It's funny. I talk to people on the phone. In time. That's no different. It's weird. I wonder why there's a delay like that.
I have no idea.
You know what else I wonder? Why am I talking about this?
Right.
Right. You're wondering that too. I bet you're wondering that. Like, why are you talking about that? Right. Hey, great show today.
Great show. Yeah, we got an amazing lineup. And
has there ever been have we ever started a show out? Like, yeah. All right. Listen, today, prepare to be underwhelmed.
Yeah. Yeah, we normally have good guests today. Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, today, we went to the local circus, and we got a few. No, we've never said that, man. It's pretty much.
We've never had to.
We've never had to.
That is so cool.
Never had to. It also would be cool to look in the archives, because I think this is like, if you are kind of in maybe the newer part of or the more recent part of our audience, you don't really know the history of, like, I'm talking about the history, but like the big giant cameras, walking around
and we were at the studio inside the closet.
Yeah, inside the closet.
Yeah.
Before we came out.
Do you remember the webcam that we started with? Do you remember we actually had a webcam that we started with? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Before the Panasonic?
I do remember that. We still have that camera. It is enshrined. But people don't understand that we had some really bad shows, static wise or
technically,
sucky. You know what I mean? Like, I remember one time we were on the show, and like the platform shut down, while we were on the show. And I mean, just crazy stuff like that,
the one thing I missed though was opening up with the little newsreel, like with the little headline news music in the background.
Yeah.
Remember? And
and
I'm trying to remember the gentleman's name that used to read it.
Martin,
yes. Martin had the perfect voice for it.
It was called What's Trending.
What's Trending.
What's Trending. So I say, hey, Martin, what's trending? And he'd be like, and he'd be like, what's trending today, Dave? And he had that little voice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like a young Paul Harvey or something.
Yes. I miss that.
I miss that too, man. That was back in the days of Mike Cherritt. And, but moving forward. But seriously though, you're right. We've never had to say that about the show, because the guests have always carried it. And then this industry is full of, number one, the industry is full of great people, but it's also full of great everyday flexibility and transition and movement. I mean, there's always things going on.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
I agree. Also, another thing that I have found in speaking to people in different businesses and just kind of, witnessing other industries, what's unique about not only the show, but obviously the auto, business and the people who come on the show, the guest, is that the willingness, the openness to share and actually talk about things, uncensored and not, without this fear that, I can't say this or I can't talk about this because it's going to hurt my, my image or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just, and there, so many other industries are so secretive with one another about what they're doing. And it's just, to me, it's refreshing that we have all this ability to communicate kind of openly in the car business.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're 100% right. And today's show is no different. And we're going to be talking about some really interesting topics today. We're going to be talking about some what's trending topics, some things that are going on. I mean, Dave, the industry right now is, people talk about disruptors and they talk about it. There's three words that I really like. There's three words that, that I like when it comes to, or actually 4 words that I like when it comes to conferences or themes of things that we do. And matter of fact, I was going over this with our branding team today. Mavericks. I love the word maverick. I like the fact that, these are all good words to be in business, because a maverick is somebody that, I don't care if you're brand new or if you're, like old, like Methuselah. You know what I mean? Like if you've been in business forever, you can still be a maverick, because a maverick is somebody who makes something happen, right? They're always full on charge. And then I like the word disruptor. I love the word disruptor. And a lot of times we associate that with a startup, with somebody who is starting up. And again, doesn't mean you're brand new in business. It just means that you're coming into a field, and you're a bull in a china shop. You're breaking up, and you're shaking things up. And I think that there's a place for disruptors. I love the word grind. I'm gonna be speaking at the Hustle and Grind conference, in October, and I love the word grind. Just wrote a book on grind. It's been in my heart, and I love that word because if it's properly done, you're killing it. And I love the word influencer and influenced. And so those words, I think, combined, I think that you could be all of those things. You could be a maverick. You could be a disruptor. You could be someone who grinds, and you could be an influencer. And I think if you do that, and you desire to do that for others, then man, I'm going to tell you something. That's where it's at. And I think that this industry, we're gonna talk about today, some disruptions, some things that are really, they're really shaking some things up and some philosophies up in the business, because it's all well and good, when you talk about Carvana and some things like that, everybody has their opinion. But then when you start to make deals with Manheim, and you start to make, accessibility a reality where, deals can be bought and purchased and so forth, there's like a direct connection. You start to get the attention of dealers, because look, we've always said that these companies don't have access to the manufacturer.
Yep.
But you and I both know where dealers make most of their money is in used cars.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's a real deal.
Yeah, and anytime that you have to be reactive to another business or another entity,
right,
then they have your attention. And,
yeah,
and that's basically what's where this is headed.
Yeah, and by the way, and love them, hate them, doesn't matter. Carvana. Again, I stand by this. I think that they're a disruptor. In companies like this. But I think I'm a proponent and a believer. And you that are listening, I'm a proponent and a believer and a fan, and on the side of the auto dealer. What I do is actually, from a marketing and training standpoint and media standpoint, there's always going to be a need for that, because there's always going to be a need to find people who need to buy. So I'm not coming at it from a point of worried about what we do. Things always have to change in that level. I'm talking, though, I'm a proponent of the dealer side. And here's the crazy thing. I don't think that Carvana at the end or companies like that are always going to be the ones who are standing. Mm-hmm. I think that the auto dealer, the retail automotive dealer, is going to be the one who's standing, but we got to get with it. Meaning that, at any given time, it's almost like somebody who's in the right spot in the right position just kind of puts their finger on the ant and kind of smashes it. The idea is a disruptor, but the idea can be engulfed and taken over, right, by the auto dealer, because they have the relationships, they have the inside track. Take the innovation and do something with it, right? I mean, just squash the whole thing out right now. And I think that there's that's something that I feel like has to come sooner or later. Somebody needs to wake up and then take advantage of that and just do it, own it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense or not. That's my opinion.
It absolutely does. And, there comes a point where you have to acknowledge it and kind of, if you're going to stay relevant, then you've got to understand what is relevant. Mm-hmm. And, what is the buying signals and the buying sort of practices of the consumer and what they're looking for. And when other companies come along to try to fulfill those needs and the way that they want to shop, mm-hmm, and they start actually doing it and setting up camp next to you, well, it might be time to start looking at that.
Yeah, I agree. And so we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about some great things with some great people. We have Jason Girdner on. We've got Laura Chapdelaine on. We've got Gabe Levy on. We've got Luke Holland on. We've got you on. And we're going to give away some stuff today. Listen, we got a sales boot camp that's coming up here in August on the 10th. And I would love to give Lou a ticket away along with a hotel stay today. One ticket. It's $1,195, and it includes, that's the price. It's only 25 seats, and it's almost done. It's almost sold out. So what I'd like to do is give a ticket to somebody today that wants to come. Here's what I would suggest. We're going to give it away to somebody who shares today. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Now you got to get yourself here. It's in Tampa, Florida. It's on August 10th. I mean, beautiful weather in August, right in the hot heat, beautifulness of the summer, right here by the beach. It's on a Friday, so you could stay and stay for the weekend if you want to, whatever it is. Here's the deal though, man. I would recommend, not because you win it, it's cool to win it, but don't try to win it unless you're hungry, because everybody in that room, every single person in that room is there because of the concept of 25 seats. So we're going to roll our sleeve up. We're going to get flip charts. This isn't a conference. This isn't a rah-rah session.
It's time to go to work.
It's time to go to work. I'm going to be standing on a table, rolling my sleeves up. I'm going to give you my process. I'm going to open up the playbook, and I'm going to teach you everything that I possibly know about sales in that time span of one day. And that's what we're going to do. And we'll make live calls right there on the floor. I will take a TO and close a deal for you right on the floor if I have to. We will open up. We will make live calls. This is the real deal. I had a dealer call me, and this is, by the way, this is not just automotive. At least half the people in the room are not going to be automotive. We've got medical sales and pharmaceutical. You're going to be in there with people who sell. Okay, so if you're interested in increasing your sales game, okay. There will be individuals in that room that are making $1 million a year. Okay, they're in sales, and so I'm telling you, if you want to take your sales game to the next level, then you've got to be here, and I'm going to give one ticket away. All right, if you want to buy it, then there's a few seats left, and you can check that out. It's right there on the screen. I'm done pitching it, but I just want to tell you, we're going to give one today. What do you got to do today to get in that drawing? You got to share today's show. Share the show. At the end of the show, we're going to pull a winner out, and we'll tell you who that is. You got to get yourself here. Your hotel's included. Your food's included for the day, and you get to spend the day right here in our office in Tampa. And we would love to see you guys here for that. That sound cool?
It's great. And you know what? I'll just say one more thing real fast because I saw it on social media. But Jeremy Nadeau, who is a finance manager at Mercedes.
He's registered.
At a Mercedes. He was here for one of our previous trainings, and he put on social media the other day. He was in sales at that time. And he put on social media the other day that it was the best training that he has ever had in his auto career, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, Jeremy's already registered. Jeremy's registered again because
this
isn't a duplicate. This isn't like, anything that we've done. We're not like, this is not like plug and play. This is not like we're saying something and then we're taking the same material and saying it again and saying it again.
Always original.
This is going to be a full day of sales meetings where we're going to absolutely kick it in the freaking butt. All right? You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, cool. So we'll give the show. We're going to give one away. All right. What do you say, man? We got 2 minutes before we got to go to break and bring our guest on. So what are you expecting, man? What are you expecting today? What are you expecting?
Well, I'm definitely expecting to hear probably half of the guests tell us how we need to be aware and how we're overripe for disruption and how things are going to be changing at lightning speed. And then I think we're going to have other guests that say, that's a niche and, not so much right now. And so we'll see. But one of the things I wanted to bring out, we have Tarina here who is going to be monitoring social media comments. And Dave, one of the things I would like to hear, I know that, we spoke about Carvana a moment ago, and I know that I believe it's Cullen Crane used to work with
Cullen
Carvana.
was scheduled to be on the show today, and he couldn't make it. Literally an hour ago, he couldn't make it, and but he was coming on today.
Okay.
But he did weigh in on some points, too, I think Lou has, but go ahead.
Okay, so we'll definitely get those comments out from Cullen since he was there firsthand with Carvana at one time. But what I'd like to hear, Dave, is have you had an offer from Carvana? Because obviously...
Can I share one real quick thing about
Carvana? No, go ahead.
Before you say that, I got to say this because my daughter, my 17-year-old daughter, right, my youngest daughter, has a friend, because I'll pimp slap him if he's more than a friend. But he's a friend, he's a friend. And he's like 20 years old, And anyway, guess where he just started working?
Carvana.
He was trying to tell me, he's from Argentina and he's cool, hey, Mr. Villa, so basically what I'm doing is I'm the guy who is like the facilitator. So you deliver the cars to the house. He goes, yeah. And then that's what he does. He drives the truck. Huh?
He's the Carvana porter.
Yeah, but it's really,
but that's cool.
But they spun it. But listen, listen, man, they're attracting people. They gave him an iPad. They give him a brand new pair of Vans every 3 months for working there. They give him really cool stuff, They gave him a Fitbit, Anyway, go ahead.
Well, that's the point. I mean, when we saw, CarMax come along, it's not like they hired everyone from another industry. There were a lot of car people that moved over. Look, Carvana wants people that have car automotive experience as well, I'm sure. And so I want to hear, have you had an offer from Carvana? Have you looked into working for Carvana? And you can even remain anonymous. If you make a comment on social media, I heard your name doesn't even pop up anymore, so
Who's?
never mind.
Did you make
Just
a comment?
comment. Yeah, they can't really be anonymous. But hey, if you're bold enough, talk about it. Let's hear from you.
Let's talk about because we're not delaying. I promise you, we're getting ready to jump into a quick commercial. Our guests are piling on as we speak, but let's talk about some folks that are on here. We got Amanda Ryan, unknown salesman. She's bringing a blast from the past. D. I wonder how he's doing. He's still wearing that.
I think that was because we were talking about the old stuff, the old days. But yeah.
Yeah. So let's see here. We got. Let's talk about some of the people who are listening. We've got Misty Rager Burton on. What's up, Misty? We got Shannon Mitchell Kaufman. We got Maybell Peralta. Mike Phillips. What's up, guys? Amanda Ryan. Scott Pestrioni. Cameron Moore. Chris Hahn. Douglas Chitler and Ezra Balkan. What's up, Ez? Noel Quintero. We've got some great folks on. Hey, if you just tuned in, don't forget, we're giving away a pass. We're giving away $1,195 one-day ticket with your hotel included to our sales boot camp on August 10th. All you got to do is share the show, and you're in the running. What do you think, man? Lou, are we ready? Almost? All right, we're almost ready, guys. Don't go anywhere. We've got Jason Gardner.
Jason Gardner. He's the CEO at Tacobi. It's awesome. Laura, I'm gonna hope I get this one.
Chapadelaine.
Chapadelaine.
I think that's how you say it. I don't know.
Chapdelaney.
Chapadelaine.
We've got Gabe Levy.
Or Levi.
No, it's Levy. We confirmed it is
Pull
Levy.
the Levy.
So, and we have Lou Colland. We have Lou Colland changing the game.
I can see these guys
College
right now
Forward.
because they're on the horn. They can hear us, right? They can hear us, and we're just waiting for something to process really quick so we can go to commercial. But I can see them right now. You know how like horses are pent up, or like a bull.
yeah.
You know, like
Oh,
a bull
yeah.
riding. They tie that. I don't know if you know this or not. They get a belt, right? They get that strap and they tie it around. A place in the bull that it doesn't like, right?
Sure.
And they tighten that up and they get on it, Kevin. They're on top of it, man. You can see that bull just like, I'm about to throw you off. And as soon as it's like that pent up energy. I can sense that's what's going on with our guests right now. They're in the box, huh? You ready?
We're ready to go.
You ready to go? But they're in the box. So here you go, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be
Right.
back in 60 seconds with everybody that's pent up in the box ready to go.
I love it. We'll be right back. You're watching Auto Dealer Live.
You're a dealership. You need to sell cars. You spend money every month to get leads, generate foot traffic, and talk to potential prospects, right? What if I told you the next 5 minutes could help you sell an extra 20 units? 20 cars have to be worth 5 minutes of your time, right? Well, here's my commitment to you. I have a new program. It's something different, something you've never seen before. I have a few slides I want to show you. And if after 5 minutes you feel this isn't for you, I won't waste one more minute of your time and I'll let you go. I'll do better than that. If I can't pique your interest within 5 minutes, I'll hang up on myself. Yes, I'm asking you to break your rules. I know you never click on ads. I know you never take phone calls. I understand you're not interested in a sales pitch and you don't want to waste your time. If you're listening or watching this between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. Eastern, don't bother clicking on anything. Call me directly, 813-630-5888. Press 1 for sales and give me 5 minutes. If you knew there were 20 cars attached to that call, you'd make it every single day, wouldn't you? If you prefer I call you on a specific day and time, just click the link here and tell me when, so we can spend that 5 minutes together. I know I only have one shot with you. I'm not going to fumble with the opportunity to work with your store. Click the link now. Give me that 5 minutes.
We live for the drop. Yeah, we live for the drop. Yeah, we live for the drop.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. We're live, and we're going to have our distinguished panel on in just a moment. But I want to introduce Mr. Kevin Campbell, no stranger to the show, by the way.
Absolutely. It's kind of weird. About 3.5 years ago, I first watched this show, and who'd have thought you fast forward and I'd be here behind the mic.
Yeah, you've gone from viewer to guest to now employee, right? Employed with IPD.
Absolutely.
And now co-hosting the show today.
Co-hosting the show with the great David Cribs.
Oh, man, come on now. So excited to have you here on board. I know that we're going to get your take on what's going on with Cox Automotive, Manheim, Carvana, and, of course, our distinguished guests. On the line, we have Jason Girdner, CEO at Tacobi. We've got Laura, and I hope I'm saying this right, Laura. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Chapdelaine. I'm sure you'll figure it out and help me figure it out. Gabe Levy, with pre-owned sales manager at Smythe Volvo. And by the way, Laura is the sales and leasing consultant at Mercedes-Benz of Springfield. And we've got Luke Holland changing the game at College Station Ford. Welcome, everyone, to the show. Can you hear us?
Thanks for having me.
All right.
Hey,
So Laura,
Hey,
just,
Kirby,
yes,
real
go
quick
ahead.
before we start getting started. I think Taria wants to state one of the top comments that we got going on. So we're going to just take a little comment. Also, just to remind everyone that they're sharing. They're going to get that seat and the free hotel stay. Go ahead, Taria. Let them know.
Okay.
You're on screen, Taria.
What am I saying? I can't believe.
So this is a new segment of the show. Taria is going to read some social comments as we go through the show. Taria, you ready to read that top comment real quick?
Sure. I don't know who the Neville Kimball goes by Congo now. That's the comment that I have at the top right now.
All right. Thank you so much, Taria. We'll come back to you in just a moment. But Laura, we'll go to you first. Can you correct me on the pronunciation of the last name?
You got it right the first time. It's Chapdelaine.
Chapdelaine. Awesome. Well, welcome to the show, Laura. And before we get started, I just want to go over to Kevin here for a moment. And Kevin, kind of, maybe bring us up to speed. From what I understand, you have a little bit of insight in that apparently now what's going on with Carvana is that they've partnered with Cox.
Correct.
Who owns Manheim, right?
Manheim, right.
And now am I getting it right that now Carvana may offer consumers almost like a direct insight to the auction?
Yeah, that seems like what they're aiming toward is to give the customers basically direct access to get cars from Manheim. Carvana already gives you a 7-day kind of a test drive with the car, so they've truly opened up the entire Manheim market to the individual. And to me, personally, it kind of feels like they're trying to wedge out the car dealer. What do you think?
Yeah, well, it sounds that way. So let's go to Gabe, because Gabe, you're the pre-owned sales manager for Smythe Volvo cars. And, first of all, do you have a Carvana locally that you compete with?
Right now we don't, but I just saw a press release that over in South Plainfield, New Jersey, they're looking at setting up a distribution site that's going to process cars to get them ready to ship out to the consumers. It's not going to have any direct consumer interaction, but South Plainfield's 20 minutes from here, so it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking. And it sounds like, if I'm a dealer, I maybe just kind of my ears perked up if I've just, found out this information. And especially if I'm a dealer that frequents, which most dealers around the country do, frequents Manheim to pick up automobiles. And now, how is this, isn't this some sort of conflict or, with participating dealers with Manheim? And are any dealers upset enough about this to maybe pull cars from that particular auction, or is it just, or is it like trying to compete with a true car? I mean, it's just almost impossible. So we'll go to Jason Girdner. Jason, I want to get your take on what you've heard so far, and I would encourage anyone on social media that has any, accurate information about this relationship with Manheim, Cox, Carvana, and what this process might look like, please put your comments in social media, and we'll make sure that Tarina reads those for us. So let's go to Jason and get your take.
I think that the industry needs to evolve with the technology that dealers are being sold.
it's kind of hard for dealers to evolve when the majority of the money is being funneled to Cox Automotive and one of their companies, and they're basically taking that money and using it to essentially put the dealer out of business, in my opinion. There's a lot of strategic moves in companies that they've purchased to corner the dealer out of retail sales to the consumer. And if the dealers don't pay attention to this, it's going to happen. They need to maybe not go straight to who the OEM is suggesting that they use and stand up and say, you know what, we're not going to keep giving you our money as long as you keep making these moves that are going to put us out of business.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that all of the parts of the car business that Cox Communication controls, right? So, you know, I was told, you know, they own Manheim, right? So controlling, they've got all the data, transactional data on wholesale. You know, they own Auto Trader, of course, and KBB. So they're telling you, you know, KBB is telling you what your trade is worth. And so now they found a way to get into Manheim and pretty much directly go from you know, the auction to the individual consumer. So, Laura, what are your thoughts on that?
So my pre-owned manager said back in the winter that actually ADESA seemed to be getting a lot of traffic from Carvana, and it was really important for us because we're a brand new dealership, so we really have, you know, very few local trades. So in the beginning and still now, almost all of our used inventory, well, I should say probably at that time, you know, 90% of our used inventory was the auctions. So, I mean, we were struggling to get what we needed for sure. And then he said they just kind of vanished. So I don't really know what to attribute that to, you know, if they sort of gobbled everything they needed and kind of drifted away. But it's, you know, been a huge concern for us, for sure, being a brand new dealership and needing that used inventory. I mean, that's the lifeblood of a dealership.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it didn't even really feel like a real dealership to me until we started getting our local trades and kind of, you know, turning things over. So that's been something we've been watching.
Yeah, that's interesting, Laura, that you say. I just caught right at the end there about the whole, it didn't really feel like, you know, maybe a complete dealership without, like, you know, the local trades and actually, you know, getting those cars organically. I love that comment, by the way. Right. Let's go to Luke Holland. And Luke, first of all, welcome to the show. You've heard some of the opening. What is your take on the whole Carvana-Manheim connection?
You know, I kind of, can y'all hear me okay? I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, it's kind of what she was talking about. I mean, it's when you start kind of taking away the, you know, from a salesperson's point of view, it makes it difficult to not feel like the dealership. I couldn't hear the question exactly. Kind of multitasking right now.
Yeah, that's all right. So, Kevin, you know, just kind of going back to the whole Carvana thing, I mean, first of all, I'm imagining that the dealers have already been at least where Carvana, well, you know, I can't even really say where Carvana is actually physically located as far as the retail outlets, because as Gabe pointed out, there's a distribution center about to open up near him, but not a retail outlet.
Right.
However, we have one right down the road here, which happens to be within a few minutes of the actual Tampa Manheim, right?
Right.
So, you know, I'm assuming that dealers have already felt at least a little bit of an impact competing to buy cars at the auction with Carvana.
That's true.
And now with possibly opening it up directly to the public, well, now you've got to think that that's going to increase.
Yeah, and that's true. And it's funny, you said distribution center. Well, there's a Manheim, many Manheims in every single state. So I'm starting to wonder if Manheim might be the new distribution center for Carvana. Jason, what are your thoughts on that, man? And also another thing, as far as trades, you know, every customer is really concerned about a trade. So if you're in essence buying a car from a vending machine, how do you think Carvana is going to handle the trade aspect of it?
Good point.
I could barely hear anything you guys said.
Oh, Jason, what I was saying was, as far as the consumer trading their car in, everybody knows that the consumer loves their car and they think the world of it. So, what do you think that how Carvana is going to handle the trade aspect of it? Are they going to run those cars straight through Manheim? Do you have any insight on that?
I mean, I really don't have much insight on what they're going to do. I do know that overall it's just another move in the big picture to take car sales online. I mean, that's where they want to go, and they're gonna try their damnedest to get there. I from what I was reading in the article, I believe they already do take trades, and they already sell those. They use Manheim to price those, and they buy cars off the street without a customer buying a car from them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it seems like obviously a great partnership with Manheim. If they're able to not only help them move more cars, they're going to get more trades in. Some of those are going to keep and recondition to sell through the retail, model of Carvana. Others will go right back to Manheim, which they are in turn going to make money on as they come through auction. Now, I do see some social media comments. We've got one from Ricardo Gerard. Do you see that one, T? Yeah, can you read that for us?
Like you do for candy.
Can you read it over again? He didn't have your mic on.
Oh, yeah, I can. It says, what happens when the vending machine gets jammed? Do you kick it and fake it like you do for candy?
All right, so that was kind of a comical comment. and T, just jump in if you see any comments regarding the Carvana situation or Manheim. Just tap Lou on the shoulder, and we'll make sure that we get that social media content read. So, Jason, you mentioned a good point is that, overall, what's probably the bigger picture, not just Carvana, Jason and Kevin, Laura, Gabe, and Luke, not just Carvana, but this whole idea that we're moving closer and closer to some of these big retail organizations that, what's interesting, and I'll just kind of sidetrack for 1 second or digress, but, there's a lot of money behind these disruption companies, right? Because I think investors have looked at not only the car business as overripe for disruption, but also, startups are getting a lot of, glamorous sort of allure to them because technology moving as quickly as it is, things like Uber that have come along, things like Netflix, these business models that are so different. Well, what if you can grab on to the next Uber or Netflix or some type of startup company, and Carvana to the public and to investors, the business model, it's pretty appealing, but obviously investors dig deeper than that. But the idea here is that this is going to be a continual trend, and some of these strong companies are going to get it figured out. And we have Amazon jumping into the game. Maybe Gabe, we'll go to you and talk about this. And as dealers, are we thinking about that? Are we preparing for that, or are we just waiting to be reactive?
That's a great question. The automotive dealer body has always been an adapt or die type of an organization, and after well over 100 years, we're still here. So I'm sure that it's just a matter of time before people start taking a startup like Carvana seriously and make the changes that they need to make. I've got a friend that I was talking to a few days ago, actually, and she saw an ad for Carvana, first time on TV, and she was asking me what that was all about. And so I explained it a little bit, and she's like, "Oh, that spells the end of the mom-and-pop dealership." And I was like, "Really?" Because if the mom-and-pop dealership want to survive, then they're going to adapt and offer a better product. So if it kills some of the quote-unquote bad dealers out there, the ones that don't take care of their customers after the sale, treat the customers like a number when they're going through the transaction, if it kills those people, okay, they were ripe for being killed. But the dealers that really give a darn and are looking at this from the long haul perspective, like for example, my dealership's been here since 1966, selling exclusively Volvos. Now that's some people may say that's a pretty challenging pretty challenging business, but the repeat business and the referral business and the reviews, the way that you market, the way you take care of your customer, it's always going to come down to that. So Carvana brings some great technology to the forefront, with their 360-degree pictures, the great descriptions, the full recon, the convenience of the drop-off. in as quick as 24 hours, the 7-day test drive to make sure you're fully satisfied, handle financing, the whole thing. It's a great business model. From an investor perspective, I believe when the IPO went out, the stock was somewhere around $17 a share. It's now up around $38, and I was reading that they've got a really strong recommendation to buy. So, they're doing what they need to do. They're spending a ton of money. They're advertising. They want to be successful. They want to be your car dealer. They'll probably steal some market share from everybody, and they definitely steal opportunities at the auctions in the lanes. They're buying what they want to buy at the price they want to get. I spoke with a gentleman named Mike over at Carvana on their toll-free line today. I wanted to get some insight from him on how this whole process works with the direct. And they call it 3-pod or on-demand. And basically, when you see the inventory, if the car's got the 360-degree pictures, then that's a car that they physically own. If there's a stock photo, then it's a car that they either have coming soon or a car that you can put a reservation on. So once you put a reservation on it, they say that within 9 days, if they're able to acquire the vehicle at a price that they can resell it to the consumer at, they'll have the full conditioning and pictures and the whole fagaga and get the car, out to you for a test drive and the whole thing. And if you want the car, then you move forwards. If you don't, no harm, no foul. You get your reservation money back, and you move on. And I think it's a really interesting way of doing it. I mean, it's not like the customer is sitting there like they're on eBay bidding on a car out in Manheim Lane. They're pricing the car as if they own it for a retail number. And if they can acquire that vehicle, if a customer expresses interest in it for a number that they feel they can recon it, make a profit, and deliver it to the consumer, they're going to do it and get the sale.
Well, hey,
I think it's a great way of doing things.
You just clarified a lot for me, because it sounded like, no, it's not a case where, because I was really concerned about that. It's not a case necessarily where it doesn't sound like anyway, that the consumer can just click on bid or commit to that vehicle. It sounds more like a case of, hey, now we have some direct leads that we know are favoring this car. We're going to be buying some cars anyway. Let's just go ahead and try to acquire this one. We have a better chance of selling it. So, Kevin, I know you had some questions.
Yeah, and I'll shoot this one over to Laura. So, we always we talk about the Sean Hayeses and the Lauras and the Mike Davenports, and the Mabel Peraltas, who give this amazing experience to their salespeople. And we all know that used cars, they have issues, right? So I mean, everybody's had a customer purchase a used car, and then a week down the road, things happen to pre-owned cars. So Laura, what are your thoughts on do you think the consumer doesn't really care about service after the sale? Because I don't see anywhere where Carvana is providing any sort of service after the sale once they get your money.
Did you get that, Laura?
Did you get that, Laura? Okay. Well, I'll
okay. We'll go over to Jason. Jason, did you get that? Did you get that question, Jason?
Yeah, I got that question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, there's one major thing that I see that they're missing, which is the social aspect. I very rarely, if ever, have seen someone mention Carvana on social, and now I see people in the automotive space mentioning it, but I do not see consumers mentioning it. The biggest thing that we need to focus on in the automotive industry, if we're gonna fight this, is relationships with our customers. And I mean, I went from really no relationships 2 years ago to a massive amount of relationships in a short 2-year period. And I'm really just a salesperson. I don't sell cars, but I still sell. And I think that we need to start building closer relationships with customers and repairing some of that bad stigma that the automotive industry has had for so long, so that we don't push in the Carvana. I mean, they are missing relationships. They're impersonal. People don't build relationships with vending machines, and that's going to be how we fight this what they're trying to do.
Yeah, great point. And I want to kind of reach out on social media. I want to hear from dealers, GMs, owners, and I want to hear, going back to this idea of, these disruption companies, and even someone like an Amazon who is looking to get into this market and really take market share from us. Thank you. Laura's joined us again, so we'll get back to her in just a moment. But dealers, if you're listening, the one advantage we have, and I believe it was, I believe it may have been Luke or Gabe that mentioned that, hey, Kevin, we're car guys, right? Car guys and car gals. And we've always been able, in fact, that's one of the wonderful things about car people, I think, is that they're so innovative, right? They look for ways to put a deal together. And that includes capturing the market, staying ahead, making sure that we're doing things, figuring out things. We think fast on our feet. We find solutions. We make decisions quickly. All those things are great and resourceful. But going back to, are we going to now be forced to be reactive instead of being proactive? Because now there's new fighters coming in on our stage, and they're coming with lots of not only technology but lots of money backing. So I want to hear from owners. Our one distinct advantage is that we purchase our cars, at least the new franchise dealers purchase them from the manufacturer, and we have that contract, with the franchise and the manufacturer. But has any dealer, and that's why I'm asking for GMs, GSMs, owners. If any dealer, yes, go ahead, Lou.
We actually already have a caller on the line. His name's Patrick O'Brien. We'll bring him in.
Okay,
right
let's go to Patrick on this question. I'm going to ask Patrick this. Patrick, welcome to the show.
Hello, Dave and Campbell. How you guys doing today? Show is awesome so far. Jason, the other guests, hello.
Hello.
I wanted to call in and just touch on the Carvana thing. And I don't know if I might have missed, somebody may have already made the point while I was calling in. But, the reason that something like a Carvana, or if, Amazon decides they want to step in this space, the reason those exist is because the consumer has asked for a different way to purchase a vehicle. They're tired of the whole same old sales process, the 10 steps, whatever, road to the sale. They're tired of that. They've seen it. They've been through it. They've been abused by it. So they're asking for a different way to purchase a vehicle, and that's what these companies are coming on and offering. So we as dealers, we as car people, car gals, car guys, we need to change the way the customer buys the car through the experience that we offer them. I promise you, the dealers that have the customer experience nailed down to a T in their process are not going to miss a beat, and they're not going to lose business or market share to companies like Carvana or like a couple of the other ones that are the ones that are out in the West Coast and stuff. So if we as dealers and we as car people can improve the experience and really make it something that the consumer wants to be involved in, they will continue to come back to us.
Yeah, all great points, Patrick. I think, not just tired of the experience, but I also think that they would like it to just change like other industries have. I know a car is something completely different, but it doesn't change the fact that the public is becoming a little spoiled by other business models, and now they're trying to make a breakthrough into the car business. Let me just ask you this real quick, Patrick, and then I'll get your answer, and I'll turn it back over to Kevin. I know he has some questions for the panel. So real quick, Patrick, what I'm interested in is the fact that, our advantage, at least as new franchises, is that we have that contract with the manufacturer and we buy cars directly from them. And of course, we're somewhat their distributor. But have you heard any indications? Is there any news out there or any whisperings of manufacturers selling directly to any of these startup companies, or not just startups, but the big ones like Amazon?
I mean, there's whispers, but again, we saw the manufacturers. I think Ford tried to do this about 20 years ago and failed miserably at it. So the direct-to-consumer thing, the manufacturers have tried and have failed at. I'm sure they're talking, in some other circles. I haven't heard, specific manufacturers that are getting involved with it. The more I see, what I see the manufacturers kind of alluding to is this new subscription service that seems to be the new crave, which I personally think is going to fail miserably as well. But I think if we don't fix it at our level, at the dealer level, then yes, there will be more conversations between manufacturers and these other companies to start moving in that direction.
Well, Patrick, thank you so much.
I don't see the only one that's really going manufacturer to consumer is Tesla. And I mean, I think it's still hard to determine whether or not they're being completely successful with it or not.
Yeah, I appreciate your comments, Patrick.
Volvo's
Thank you.
got some interesting things going on. If I could jump in here, so we've got the brand new XC40, which is lighting it up. You can't keep them in stock, right, Mabel? And we are doing a lot of those with the Volvo Direct to the Consumer through the subscriptions. It's a great program, real simple to understand, kind of like a lease, but not really. And the consumers are able to bounce out of the car. I think it's a great way to start it out. When Polestar comes on board in about a year, they're going to be direct to consumer as well. Volvo launched the XC90 back in the 2016 model year with just under 2,000 units called First Editions, which were direct to consumer, and I believe they sold out in about less than 24 hours, if I remember correctly. So huge demand. Consumers are willing to take a shot on a high-end premium product because they figure, how bad could it be, you know?
Right.
They are looking for a different way of doing business. There's things that you could put on your website. You can do that Build My Deal, Structure My Deal, where you can purchase your car completely electronically from any dealership that's using those widgets on their sites. And the dealers, when it comes to used cars, the better you display your cars, the better you describe them, the more forthright and upfront you are with your descriptions, taking pictures of anything that could be considered a defect, and you're very upfront and honest with your customer, they're gonna feel more comfortable doing business with you. I mean, we ship cars all over the country. We sold a used XC90 up to somebody in Alaska, sight unseen, and she's in love with the car. So it can be done. And, you know, everybody freaked out when CarMax started coming into markets. Did every single dealer around a CarMax store close up? No. But, you know, they created competition and it made the other dealers raise their game. So we just have to look at that the same way.
Great points, Gabe. I'm gonna go back over to Kevin, and just real quick, Kevin, before you ask your question, the one thing I want to point out about both Ford, who tried this maybe some type of model 20 years ago, and CarMax when they came in, and you know, we still exist. We're still dealers, like you mentioned, Gabe. But the fact remains that was, you know, 20 years ago, and the technology and the companies and the business models wasn't there. So let's go to Kevin real quick and go ahead with your questions, Kevin.
Right, and I'll open this up to anybody on the panel. As far as anybody hearing from the consumer, because I know I was in the retail end for over a decade, and Carvana has recently come around. And actually, I'll sling this to Laura. Are you hearing your customers, you know, shopping you against Carvana as far as on pre-owned cars? Do you hear any of those rumblings from consumers? Because I'm here in Metro Tampa, and I hear very little about consumers even considering Carvana. What are your thoughts on that, Laura?
Yeah, we're a little distant, you know, I think from the closest center. So, and we're a little slow in our area too. You know, things are a little bit behind. But one thing I wanted to point out is some of the things that people seem to like about the model are actually not high tech. So they seem to really like having the car at their house. They seem to really like being out of the realm of like, you need to come into the dealership for control. So I think that, you know, one thing we can do as local dealers that Carvana can't do is take the cars right to people for test drives, which is actually kind of like a retro way of doing things. Interestingly, my husband's in the grocery business, of all things. Who would ever think that there would ever be any threat to the grocery business? But it's kind of the same thing. People used to, 70 years ago, get groceries delivered to their home. We're going back to that. So I just want to put that out there, that the high-tech stuff, like the building it online, never interacting with a human, that is part of it. But people are also just saying they kind of want things in the safety of their own realm.
That's a great point, Laura. That's a great point, Laura. And we're going to go to Luke Holland, and then we're almost out of time, so we're going to do closing comments and kind of go around each guest. But I want to take it to Luke, and I want to mention, just like Laura mentioned, you know, with the Carvana model, I'm also in agreement. I don't think it's necessarily a tech attraction. so much as it is. I mean, it's kind of cool to look at the vending machine type of thing. That might get your attention, which, by the way, is a great place to start.
Right.
Just like we're trying to get, every dealer is trying to get the consumer's attention at first. But the other thing, though, and I'll ask you, Kevin, real quick, and then we'll go to Luke, and we'll go for closing comments. Okay, Luke. Okay. So we'll go around in just a moment. But Kevin, I think it's more the attraction, like Laura said, is that, I don't have to leave my home, right? You're going to kind of cater to me. But I think the other big one here is the whole idea that I can buy a used car, have you bring it to me, and I have a 7-day return policy. Right. That to me is the attraction. And I wonder if dealers maybe need to be competing in those areas, as we move forward. But what are your thoughts, Kevin? And then if we can go around to
sure,
to Jason, Laura, Gabe, and Patrick.
Yeah, I think it's it's the one thing that you can't really buy, and it's time, right? So Carvana is offering an opportunity for the consumer to truly save time, having a vehicle dropped off at their home, and obviously with the return policy,
risk-free.
Yeah, it's risk-free. So I can see the advantage to that. And I was reading, and I'll throw this over to Jason. I'd seen a comment on social media that he had mentioned. He says, Carvana is going to try it, but they might not necessarily be successful. But in order for the dealer to win, they're going to have to be proactive about changing the way they do business. And so, Jason, do you have any ideas about what that might be as far as what the dealer? I mean, obviously get more social, because I know that's kind of what.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna throw this out there, and I'll probably catch hell for it, but it's the Grant Cardone way of doing business. It's not what customers want anymore. They're tired of it. They're tired of coming in and being forced to sit down in a little tiny cubicle before they're shown a vehicle. Sales is changing. It's fundamentally changing through social media. Consumers are not as dumb as they used to be. They have access to a lot of information. We have to sell cars to them on their terms, not our terms. And
that's good.
I think that's where a lot of dealers kind of miss the boat, is they're trying to force consumers down their little sales process, and the customer feels uncomfortable doing that. And sometimes you got to back up a little bit and look at what the customer wants and cater to them and serve them.
Yeah, and I get exactly what Jason's saying, and it's a good point, because I used to tell people this all the time. All the information is online. The consumer has access to everything these days, and so sometimes the one thing that they're nervous about is the blind date they're about to go on with the car salesman that they don't know, and so it seems like Carvana's found a way to in essence, get rid of that nervous meeting that they're going to have with the 80s stereotypical car salesperson that everybody still thinks about.
Yeah, and it's funny you brought that up, that you share with people that, look, the consumer has everything right at their fingertips. They have all of the information. But what I'm curious about is how close are we to getting the public to believe that they actually have the real information? That's the next question. But let's go to, thank you, Jason. By the way, Jason, because these are closing comments, real quick, I'll give you another 60 seconds, and if you could also share with dealers how to reach out to you, because I know you do amazing things for them.
Yeah, I appreciate coming on. I appreciate having me in this conversation. You guys can, best way to reach me is on Facebook. Just look me up, Jason Girdner, Girdner.
Yeah, and dealers
you can get to know me, my company, my kids, my animals, and my dogs.
Yeah, thank you. And dealers, do go check out Jason Girdner. He is doing some amazing things for dealers that will absolutely blow you away. He's wanted at conferences all over the country. I've heard him speak. I've met him. It's my pleasure. Jason, thank you. And we're going to go to Laura for closing comments.
So I think the big thing is that when customers call in, they want to get answers fast. And so a big part of that is kind of reworking the salesperson to sales manager business model, or road to the sale, as it was said before. The main reason I went to Mercedes-Benz is that I desk all my own deals, and, we have the ability and expectation that if somebody calls from an hour and a half away, in 5 minutes on the phone, I'm going to write a lease deal for them. So I just think the more layers we can cut out, I mean, obviously that's, going to require a lot more training and a lot more empowerment, but I think that's a big part of it. And we just have to be, there is a little bit of it that is reactive. There's no getting around it. We've kind of been forced into this position, but huge opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. And how do dealers reach out to you, or maybe someone in sales who is looking for inspiration? You do such a great job there at Mercedes. How can they reach out to you or find you?
I'm on Facebook and also at mbspringfield.com. My information's right there, linked to my profile on our site. And I love this way of selling cars. So, it's a whole new dimension to what I do.
Thank
and I think a lot more managers should consider it.
Thank you so much, Laura.
Awesome, Laura. Thanks for being on the show. We'll go to Gabe Levy next. Gabe?
Yeah. All right. So I think Carvana is definitely a new way of doing business, but still, customers think that it's a nice, clean, easy process, but they're still going to take the customer through the credit application and, making sure that they're a qualified buyer before they go any further. So, if a consumer is hesitant to give a car dealership Social Security numbers, credit card information, and we're a brick and mortar that they can come physically into, how are some of the more cautious consumers going to feel about some internet entity that may or may not deliver a vehicle in the time frame that they speak of? So you're going to have a lot of early adopters, but you're also going to have a lot of really cautious people that are going to have those concerns, and they're going to maybe want to, take it a little bit slower than Carvana wants to. So they've got some stumbling blocks to get over also. And then what happens with compliance? How are you verifying that this is the right person that's giving you the credit application and the credit card information? Who knows? I mean, we're held responsible for all of that compliance stuff. What are the guidelines for a group like Carvana?
Good point.
Yeah, that's a great point,
And
Gabe. And how do dealers reach out to you as well?
You can absolutely get me on Facebook at Gabe Levy, and you can find me here at Smythe Volvo in beautiful downtown Summit, New Jersey.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Just to touch on something that Gabe had mentioned, I don't think a lot of people know that Cox also owns DealerTrack as well. So it'd be interesting to see if they get into submitting the whole loan, the whole process of the car purchase.
Yeah, they're going to sneak up on you.
Right.
They're going to sneak up on you.
Exactly.
And I think we have Patrick still on the line.
Patrick, you still on the line with us? You got any closing remarks?
I am.
All right, your time.
And to touch on Gabe's point of the compliance thing, that's going to be an interesting wrinkle to see how all of that is handled. But again, it really comes back to, can the dealers give? When I always train salespeople, or I train BDCs or anything like that, I tell the agents or the salespeople, you have to customize the conversation based on the way the customer wants to communicate with you. So with that being said, you also have to customize the experience for the way the consumer wants to shop. Okay, so we want to make sure that we have the texting widgets. We want to make sure that we have an opportunity for them to call or email or any way that they want to get in touch with them. If they want to purchase the vehicle without stepping into the dealership, okay, we need to figure out a way to offer that opportunity for those consumers, because there's still going to be that, that customer that wants to put their hands on it. They want to drive it. They want to smell it. They want to feel it. But there is increasingly more, because technology is becoming, actually it's just making people lazier. We have to offer that. So if we want to avoid these disruptors coming into our space, into our territories, we have to make sure that the consumers think of us first. So when we deliver our message, we need to start delivering it from the inside out. Why, what, and how, okay? Instead of what we do, how we do it, and why we're going to do it, we need to start it in reverse, the opposite. All right? Deliver it from the middle. Hey, here's why we want to help you. Here's why we want to be your dealer. Here's how we're going to do it. Eventually, the end result is a car purchase. So we have to change the mindset. I think it's getting better, but again, we still have a long way to go to ensure that we don't have these disruptors taking major market share from us.
Patrick, I love when you're on the show, my friend.
He gets fired up, don't he?
Yeah, it's not only passion, but it's accurate passion, and I love that. You have the process internalized, and I'm grateful to have you on the show. How do dealers reach out to you?
You guys can reach me on Facebook, Patrick O'Brien. If you can't find me that way, you can type in Politics, Politix. It's an old school nickname that I got. Or for the very first time, I will put my cell phone number out to the masses, and you can call or text me at any time. It's the easiest number in the world, 770-880-7080. That number again is 770-880-7080.
Thanks so much, Patrick O'Brien.
Awesome.
And thanks to all of our
you, guys.
guests. Yes, thank you all for being on the show today. We're going to read a couple more social media comments and then close out the show. But thank all of you for being on the panel, Jason, Laura, Gabe, and, of course, Luke and Patrick.
Hey, before we go and wrap up, we're going to announce real quick our winners. First, we're going to announce the winners of the hats. Show the hats real quick, guys. The hats we're giving away.
Got some cool hats. We got a green one here, Leader Be Lunch with the shark. We got David Villa's personal signature on the back.
Yeah, so the hats are going to be going to Nathan Kelly and Colby Brown. So Nathan Kelly and Colby Brown are the winners of the hats. And then the big winner is...
Hold on, drum roll. Now this,
right.
If you didn't catch the show when we first opened up, we're giving away...
Here, I'll put the screen back up.
Yeah, we're giving away a ticket to the boot camp right here at IPD headquarters in Tampa. We're taking care of the hotel, but we're giving you a ticket. It's $1,195. We're talking about, we had a finance manager who's been in the business for years, has been to a different boot camp that we had, said that it was the absolute best training he's ever received in the car business in his entire career, which is saying a lot. He's a finance manager at a Mercedes dealership, Kevin. He's coming back. He's already registered for this one. It's different content, but it's real content, Kevin. It's where, a lot of times we talk about ways and techniques, but in this boot camp, we roll up the sleeves, pick up the phone, and make it happen right in front of the participants.
Right. It's phenomenal training. I'm not sure if everybody watching knows kind of what goes on here at IPD, but we service dealers, and so we cold call car dealers and GMs. And if you've never done that before, it's a whole other animal. And so we use this training ourselves to be successful. There's no better training out there.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are selling to the salespeople.
Correct.
Which is not always easy, especially when you're talking about dealers. So this is an amazing training. You're going to find so much in this, and it's not just car people that come for this. It's CEOs and marketing directors and VPs of sales from outside industries as well. So I know several car people, including Tracy Myers, who's one of the I think largest independent auto dealers in North Carolina. I know he's an award-winning from the state as one of the best businesses in the car business in North Carolina. He uses a lot of things that he's pulled from outside of the industry to make his operation successful. It's one of the things I love about Tracy Meyer. And we're going to give away a ticket right now. Drum roll, please. $1,195 seat. And we're paying for your hotel. Go ahead, Lou. Who is it?
The winner is Chelsea Combs. Chelsea Combs, you are the winner.
Chelsea Combs, you just got a ticket to Tampa, baby. All right, well, that was amazing, and thanks for everyone who's been watching the show. I want to read a couple of social media comments real quick, and I'm going to give T a chance to do that as well if you see one, T. But I'm going to read this one here from Chris Fukel. I thought this was kind of interesting, Kevin. He said, I had a customer buy a car, and they delivered it. You're talking about Carvana. When he called to return, the closest place he could actually send the car back to, because you remember we talked about no risk, the closest place was 400 miles away. Now, we're going by what Chris said and what his customer shared with him, but the closest place was 400 miles away, and he had to take it to them before the 7 days were up, or it was his to keep. They deliver, but they don't pick up returns. So
spot that car.
So yeah, that might put a little bit of damper in the situation if you don't have a close retail outlet. It'd be interesting to see or to know in that particular case. Number one, we got to find out and verify that is their policy. But the other thing is, if it is their policy, imagine if the retail outlet is maybe right there nearby, and then they have to take it somewhere else 400 miles away. I doubt that was the case, but it's fun to think about.
Ouch.
And Nate Wagner says, also when people are shopping on Carvana, of course they are going to go to a local dealer to test drive cars and waste salesman's time. Okay, well, hey, I guess the glass is half full or half empty, however you want to look at it.
Spoken like a true car guy.
You need to turn that customer around.
Come on, Nate. Get that one turned around, man.
Turn that around.
So, Mike Phillips, thanks for joining us. Amanda Ryan, as always, you're amazing. You're a part of our history. We opened up the show talking about the history of the show. We loved what you and and your sister did with Get Your Social On segment. That was so exciting. And Daryl Bailey joined in. Chelsea Combs, who just said OMG with some exclamation points. Mike Phillips, love Tracy Myers. You got Patrick O'Brien, of course, was called in as a guest. We had a lot of people in the house today. We're sorry we couldn't get to everyone in every comment. T, did you have anything that you wanted to add before we go? All right, you're good. So we'll see you next week, T, on screen. We're going to get you all ramped up and ready to be on there for half the time. So Kevin, man, I appreciate you jumping in here, man. First time co-hosting the show. What did you think? You have fun?
It was fun. It's fun.
It's good, because I think as car people, and if you're watching right now and you don't know Kevin's history, I mean, you've been little time away from the actual blacktop.
Right. Yeah. I've only been away from retail for just over a year now, but I've been deep in the business since 2005.
Since 2005, so 12 years in the business, roughly.
Right.
You were an internet director, among other things, but that was the most recent role, I think.
I've worked for big groups, Asbury, the Sandy Sanson Group. So,
So
I bleed it.
Right.
I bleed it.
That's kind of where I was going. Was once you start jumping in with these dealers and you're talking, I mean, it just it becomes a car conversation.
I could sit here for hours and talk about the car business.
I'm so glad you were available. Dave had to get out of here. I was glad he was able to open up, but he had an appointment that he had to make, and we appreciate you jumping in, man. It was a great show.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right.
Glad to be here.
All right.
Boom.
Until next week, we'll see you on Auto Dealer Live.